So give me the keys for life. Welcome back to the pod. Let's get straight into this content. These keys. Let's get into these keys. All right, today's key is positive sum versus zero sum. What is that? So positive sum versus zero sum is basically an element of game theory, and it's a way of viewing a game. So life can be viewed as a game. So what's positive sum? Positive sum is like an abundance mindset. Positive sum means that everyone can benefit from mutual cooperation. Everyone can get more value from the help of other people, and it can raise the tides of all the ships, whatever that saying is. And then there's zero sum. What's zero sum? Zero sum is believing that in order to get ahead, the other person has to lose. So it's a tit for tat. It's like if I want to get ahead, someone else is going to have to move behind me. It's a scarcity mindset. It creates scarcity. A good example of zero sum is a game of poker. You know, there's only so much money in the game, and if you get more of the pot, that means that someone else gets less. So positive sum, zero sum. This is a mindset. It's basically a way of viewing the world. So it's better to have a positive sum mindset, whatever you're doing out there in the world. I don't even know really what you guys are up to or who you are, but I mean, let me think about this. Okay, for example, let's say you're on a sports team. Let's say you play baseball. You can go into that sport, you know, practice the games, trying to try out for the team. You can go into that with a zero-sum mindset, meaning that, man, if I want to make the team, I'm going to have to really make sure that, you know, someone else doesn't make the team. I'm going to have to be better than everyone else. And I might have to, you know, put down some people just so I can get ahead. That would be zero-sum mindset. Now, if you go into trying out for the baseball team and you're on a positive sum mindset, you could go in thinking, you know, if you have some raw talent or skill, you could go in saying, man, I'm going to go in and actually help the other people on the team, because if I can actually build up my teammates and I can make them better and push them harder, then we all win because our team gets better and we're more fortified as a unit. So that's positive sum and that's zero sum. So definitely have that positive sum mindset, and whatever you do, apply that into your life. Take that key and run with it. All right. So today's shelf item, let's tap into the shelf. And today's a goodie. I mean, man, they're all goodies at this point. Boom. What is it? Who is it? And that says clean. Dang, boy. That is a clean logo. And this is an organic yerba mate. And if you can't read well, you'd probably pronounce it yerba mate, but it's a yerba mate. And what is this all about? So this can here, the flavor is a little interesting. It's mint and honey. And it's organic. It's got 160 milligrams of caffeine. Whoo! And the cause, what's it all for? They say that it's 50% net profits support addiction recovery. And it does have an asterisk, so we don't really know what they're doing with the profits, but because it's got that asterisk, we don't really know. But anyways, 90 calories, clean cause, let's do it. And we do have something, a mason jar. So here we go, tapping into the shelf. Thank you guys for tapping into the keys. We got to quote some keys so everyone can see. So take these keys and run with them for life. And I'm coming up with more sayings. It's just funny to have sayings. I don't know why. All right, yerba mate into the mason jar. And that's that mint and honey. I mean, just do the whole thing, man. Don't even hold back. Look at that. Ugh. And I'm definitely going to spill some of this. I don't know why I did this. Absurd. All right, so we got the yerba mate in the mason jar. And I'm going to have to drink some of this. All right. Sorry for all the disgusting sounds. Man. Yep. That's a good clean drink there. It's light. Good. All right, guys. Let's dive into today's rule. And this is a good rule that I came up with. The rule today is challenge your own beliefs. Challenge your own beliefs. So belief, we all have these little beliefs in our head, stuff that we deem to be true that could be because someone told us it's true. It could be because of conditioning, of just societal conditioning. It could be because of familial programming. You just grew up in a household and your parents' way of thinking kind of programmed you to have a way of being. And so we all have our own beliefs about the world. And so the rule is challenge your own beliefs. Challenge what you think. So what's an example? You might just have false beliefs about yourself. You might limit yourself because of these false beliefs that you could have. And what's an example that I can speak from? False belief. A false belief is like saying, I can't do this because of that. An example for me would be when I was back being an accountant and kind of doing a regular corporate job, I told myself that I can't do certain things creatively because I'm worried that my manager is going to find out. So, it's like I couldn't really be promoting my stuff. I couldn't really be putting my ideas out there. I couldn't be really posting my music. And I just had this belief that it's like, because I'm an accountant and because I have this job, I can't do that because I'll get in trouble. This is America. You're free. You can do whatever you can do pretty much whatever you want as long as it's in good spirits and doesn't hurt other people. So challenge your own beliefs. I was hiking the other day when I had this thought, and I've been trained, there's just things that we've been trained to believe. Like I've been trained to believe that politics are taboo, that you're not supposed to talk about politics with people because it's taboo, because it's like an inappropriate kind of topic of conversation. And in certain contexts, that's true. If you're, meeting someone for the first time and you're at dinner, you probably shouldn't be like, hey, so what do you think about Trump? You don't want to be too polarizing. But at the same time, that doesn't always apply. It applies in that context, but if you're hanging out with, a family member or a friend, you're allowed to get into politics. You're allowed to ask them what they think and why, and that's okay. So there's these blanket beliefs that we can cast onto the world, and it can affect how we act. So I do challenge you to challenge your own beliefs about what you can do. Maybe you think, man, I can't even switch my job. Man, I've been in here too long. I got a pension. I got benefit. I can't leave. Maybe that's what you think. I got to do this job because I'm in so deep and I'm already established. And, maybe that's your own false belief. So challenge your own beliefs, man. Challenge them. Why not? Real quick sidebar, if you guys are watching the video and you're liking it and getting something out of it, please go down right now and drop a like and leave a comment. It takes 2 seconds to leave a like, and it actually really helps small creators like myself get seen by more people through YouTube. I do my best to read every single comment that you guys leave, and I do what I can to respond to all of them as well. Now, back to the keys. The next piece of our format today is a quote, a good old quote, and it's a quote that goes by like this. It says, with great power comes a great responsibility. Yes. I'll say it again for emphasis. With great power comes great responsibility. And this is a quote from Spiderman, I believe, but it's more if it dates back all the way to Voltaire, and he was philosopher, I think, I don't know. And then Churchill, and then Stan Lee. Stan Lee was the guy that created Spider-Man. Along with Sam Raimi, the real Spider-Man. Very millennial of me to say the real Spider-Man's the one with Tobey Maguire. But that is the one that, to me, is the real Spider-Man. And no one can change my mind on that. Because I was like 5 or 6 when it came out. So what's this quote mean? Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, first off, put simply and succinctly, power should be wielded for the greater good, not personal gain. So if you have influence, if you have power, if you have ability, if you have talent, it comes with a great responsibility. It should be used for the greater good, the positive sum, like we talked about, that's the key. It should be used for positive sum, not zero sum, not personal gain. So, and I was thinking about Spiderman the other day when I was hiking, and Spiderman is such a good hero myth. It's like a story. It's a archetypal story somewhat. It's got motifs that are very common in hero mythology. So let's briefly run through Spider-Man. The story starts out, Peter Parker, he's kind of a meek nerd. He's not very cool. And he's chasing the bus. He can't even make the bus, and people laugh at him and all that. But let's think about what happens to him. Well, first off, before he even gets bit by the spider, he's captivated by Mary Jane. Something about Mary Jane is interesting to him. He's noticing, he's watching. She's unpredictable. He tries to talk to her, and she's on a different frequency. He's all nerdy orderliness, and she's all chaotic beauty. And he doesn't really know what to do about that. So he's captivated by Mary Jane, and then he gets bit by the spider. Something changes his whole anatomy. Something alters his perception of the world. Something supernatural affects him. And the spider's basically God in the hero myth. Could be an analogous to coming in contact with God. Because when you come in contact with the Word, when you come in contact with God, it's going to change who you are and how you feel and what you're capable of. So he gets bit by the spider, metaphorically. And what happens to him? He becomes different. He wakes up jacked. He has all this power. He has all this sudden power. He has all this sudden capability. And what does he do with it? Well, he's in his naive state. He wants to try to impress Mary Jane. So he's in the catalog and he's like, man, if I get a nice car, if I get some money, greed, if I get some money, I can acquire this material possession to impress this girl that I like. A very immature, kind of, young Spider-Man. He doesn't really know what to do with all his power. So he's like, man, I'm going to get this car, and the way that he's going to earn the money is he's going to wield his newfound power, and he's going to go make some money at a fight in this cage match, and it's a crazy cage match. You guys have probably seen the movie, but if you haven't, I'll keep explaining it as if you haven't. And he goes in, let me speed it up. He goes into the cage. Well, hold up. Let me not speed it up because there's important details here. So the other part of this myth hero is the idea of rescuing your father from the belly of the beast. And in the movie Spider-Man, his father, he actually doesn't have his real parents, but his Uncle Ben is his father, his metaphorical father. And what happens? Well, one, Peter wants to go win this fight, to win this money, to buy the car to impress Mary Jane, and he's deceiving his Uncle Ben in the process. He says, hey, Uncle Ben, can you take me to the library? And his Uncle Ben takes him, and his Uncle Ben is imparting some wisdom. He's the great father in the story. He's imparting this wisdom onto Peter Parker. And Peter is so in his naivety that he's deceiving his Uncle Ben. And he flares up at him, aggressive, flares up at him, tells him that he's not even his dad, and he gets out the car. And that's the last time he really sees him alive, sadly. But he deceives his father, and then he goes into the cage match. Does the cage match, he wins. He beats the guy. He goes upstairs to get his, reward money from the boss, and he walks in, and there's a stipulation. And, the guy says, you didn't last 3 minutes. You beat him in 2. So for that, you get $100. You don't get the car money. You get $100. And he goes, for that, you're lucky. And Peter's all greed. He's doesn't understand his responsibility with his newfound power. And what's he do? This is kind of the darkest moment for him. He takes $100. He's walking down the hallway, and some guy runs past him back towards the guy that had the loot, the money, the reward money. He's robbing him. The guy runs past him, goes, "Give me all the money." And he's like, boom, hits him over the head, takes the whole bag, and there's this elevator. And Peter's standing in front of the elevator. And there's a cop that's trying to catch the robber. The robber's running down the hallway. And Peter has all the power in the world to stop the criminal, to get the money and return it to the person who it belongs to. But what's he do? Out of his greed, out of his anger, out of his immaturity, he steps aside, lets the criminal run into the elevator, and the criminal goes, "Thanks," and the door shuts on him. And the cop runs up and he's banging on it. He's like, "Man, you let him go. You know, you could have ripped that guy to pieces. Why didn't you? Why weren't you Spider-Man? You could have done it. You just won the cage match." And Peter says, what's he say? He says, "I missed the part where that's my problem." Mic drop. And then that's the ultimate malevolence taking over the hero. This is why it's a hero myth. He's not all good. He's not good from the start. He doesn't understand how to wield his power for the greater good. And what happens? Karma, the criminal ends up killing his Uncle Ben. He hijacks a car and he kills his Uncle Ben. And Peter has to deal with the understanding and knowledge that it's his fault that he killed his great father. And that's where the quote comes from: "With great power comes great responsibility." And that's like one of the last things Uncle Ben said to Peter. And so what is that? That's the catalyst for him becoming Spider-Man. You know, he realizes that his power should not be used for personal gain. It should be used for the greater good. And he goes on to defeat greater villains, the Green Goblin. Because he takes ownership of his power and responsibility, he's able to do more good and take on more evil in the world. And he becomes a hero. So I love that quote, and I love Spider-Man. All right. Let me take a little second here. Longer podcast. I'm getting more into just a storytelling flow these days. And it's all about you guys. It's all about value. I hope you guys are, tracking along with what I'm saying. And I hope that this podcast is of value to you. So thanks for tapping in. Keeping along with our format here, the last piece of our format today on this podcast, it's a question from one of you. It's a question that someone submitted on the Instagram Close Friends. Follow me if you're not on there. Here's the question. Question is, who are 3 dream artists you'd want to work on a song with or be on a song with, and what would it sound like? I could say Drake, I could say Kanye, I could say Kid Cudi, I could say Travis Scott, but actually, 3 dream people I'd want to work with is me, myself, and I. And that's going to come off arrogant and selfish, but hear me out. So when you create songs, there's an artist that raps or sings, a vocal artist. There's also a guy on the computer doing what's called engineering. He's all mixing and stuff. Then you might have a guy in the room that's a producer. That's a creative ideator. He has ideas. He talks to the artist. Hey, what if you tried to say your vocal in this way? What if you tried this pattern? What if you hit this melody? You got other people too. You got people that specialize in those areas. But for the most part, you have artist, you have vocalist, engineer, and producer. So that's 3. So I like being all 3 of them when I create music. I have always made music myself. It's a personal hobby that I have. I like doing the whole process. I like coming up with the beat. I like producing the beat. I like recording my own vocals, saying what I want to say, whether it makes sense to other people. I like the creative expression that comes from being on a song. And I like the engineering part. I like, once I have all those elements, I like being the kind of the glue, figuring out how it all fits. What's the arrangement? Are we going to do anything new and dramatic in the song? Are we going to switch it out? Are we going to keep the BPM? in a nice groovy pocket, or are we going to have it fast, So I kind of like doing all three, and what would it sound like? The question said, what would it sound like? Go listen to my music. That's what it would sound like. That's what it would sound like. So that was fun. I had a lot of caffeine today, I'll tell you that. I had pre-workout before the gym, and then I came here, and I'm drinking this Yerba Mate, and this has 160. I'm up to I had an espresso this morning. I'm living fast, not long, on 600 milligrams of caffeine. But thank you guys for tapping in. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment down in the section. Say something. Anything. Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to add? Do you have any questions? Whatever. Love you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next key.